I this I did this task with my partner Tobias. Uh, I did part A with these two boys, and Tobias did part B with the girl. This part A is about two boys from different cultures. One boy from an Arab culture who's afraid of Christians, and a Western boy who's afraid of ISIS fighters. And they both think that people from other cultures are dangerous and very extreme. And yeah, I've chosen this task because it's quite interesting to investigate the difference between cultures, religions, and even countries. And yeah, for near future and for even decades, we it went well this project because we are both very enthusiastic and we were both very comfortable. When we didn't know a word, we looked it up or we described the word, and we were both really patient. So it was a very comfortable environment for the both of us. But it was sometimes a bit difficult to plan a meeting because we have very different schedules. But at the end, it went well, and we had our meetings, and we did this project very well. Thank you.
So the other topic they could choose from was gun control, and Hilke will type. No, Sana, I'm sorry, I keep mixing you up.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sanne. I'm going to tell you something about the task gun control. I did this task with my partner Celine from Germany, and I'm going to tell you something about our communication and what we think went well and what we think didn't went that well. At first, I think we had great communication. We're pretty on the same page. Our opinions are really similar. We can think about the bigger picture. We can think about global problems, and yeah, we're really alike. But also, what I think was great was that we could argument for the other side. We could argument for the pros and for the cons, and we could debate about it, and not like, hey, I think this. Well, I think this too. Okay, conversation over. That wasn't the case. So I thought, yeah, that was great. We're also on the same level of English. Our level was pretty similar, and if we didn't know something, we would describe it or look it up as the other students. And there was one thing we both were like, bit disappointing. It was the program we worked with. There was the big blue button, and we thought sometimes it was a bit slow or there was some technical difficulties. But yeah, it's not the worst, so yeah, we live with it. And but after all, I think Celine and I both agree that this project was a benefit to our social skills and our English skills, and just work with other people from other languages, and just I think it was a great project, and I'm very happy I did this. So thank you for your attention.
All right. So the third topic they could choose from was globalization, and Hilke is going to talk about this.
Hi, I'm Hilke. I talked with my partner Leonie about the topic globalization. We especially talked about the positive and the negative aspects about it, and I think we complemented each other really well. For example, I was talking about a bad aspect of globalization and how we could solve it. Then Leonie pointed out that my solution also had a negative side, and that way we went back and forward on almost every argument. About our learning process, I can say the following. It was a great experience. We had a great time while also learning to speak English more fluently. It was fun because we also had quite a few things in common, like our opinions and hobbies. It was also great meeting another person via Collab. Well, because she's from another country, I don't think I would have met her in the daily life. And I think it would be different if we had met in real life, because now we sometimes had awkward silences, and I think we would have less of them if we had met in real life. Overall, it was a great experience to participate in this project, and I would definitely do it again. Thank you.
And the last student that's going to speak, she didn't do a task in Big Blue Button, but she did a second task in the virtual world, and it's Danique.
Hello, everybody. I'm Danique, and I'm going to tell something more about the virtual world. That's because everybody did 2 tasks in Big Blue Button, and I did 2 tasks in the virtual world. The reason why I chose twice for the virtual world is actually really simple. I asked my partner Mark what he preferred, and he was like, "Oh, I really want to do another assignment in the virtual world." So we did the virtual world again. Um, I believe he liked the virtual world so much because it's a bit like a game. You know, you have characters, you can talk with each other. It's on a computer. The first task in the virtual world was about pollution. We first saw a video about pollution, and after the video, we had to answer questions about pollution. And finally, we had to think about solutions for the pollution. The second task in the virtual world, I was supposed to do yesterday, but unfortunately, my partner Mark couldn't make it yesterday, so I still have to do that task. My experience so far in the virtual world are actually really good. I think it was a really nice project, and like I said before, the virtual world is a bit like a game, but you also learn a lot of it because you have to work together. You are forced to talk English, and because of the interesting subjects in the virtual world, it makes the whole project just more fun. So I'm happy I joined this project. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, they already mentioned quite a few opportunities, but I just wanted to, from the viewpoint of a teacher, what I think they gained from it. So I noticed that for my younger students, they really had a chance to have an authentic learning environment. So you may notice this in class, like you tell them to speak English, but they know the other person speaks Dutch. So when they don't know a word or when they just are not in the mood, they speak Dutch anyway. They couldn't do that with this project because, like they said, the partner doesn't speak any Dutch and they're not proficient enough in German to keep the conversation going. For my younger students, meeting new people was really important, and they were really interested in their partner, daily life, what does their school look like, hobbies. And I also noticed for my younger student was a chance to become more autonomous. Also for my older students, but for my younger students, I noticed that they grew in that aspect much more because the older students already were a bit more autonomous. And fun was really important for those students. So if they did a task, they wanted it to be fun. For my older students, most of these opportunities apply as well. But what I noticed is that they're a bit more serious. So they see how it's useful to them for short-term objectives, like the presentation that has been mentioned. They have to do an oral exam this year, and they really said, like, I can use this to prepare for that. For long-term objectives, so some say they wanted to become better at English because they wanted to score higher marks next year as well. Other ones said that they wanted to learn to speak English better because they wanted to be able to communicate with people all over the world. And Sona, even inspired by this project, applied to United World Colleges. That was it, United World Colleges, which allows you to study abroad. So it was very cool. Linda already mentioned that for the upper secondaries, it's much more integrated in their curriculum because for us in upper secondary, skills become much more important. So, and this is a great way for them to practice their speaking skills. And also, it's a great way for them to practice their 21st century skills because we always had global topics and they really had to analyze them, discuss them, and had to work together. They had to do problem solving skills. Like Danique just said, like, what if your partner isn't available on a Wednesday? What do you do? How do you solve that? So I think this project gives them a great way to really experience this. And as a teacher, this is how I think what I got from it and what I learned from it. My biggest tip is start small. I did 2 projects, 8 students. I think that's perfect because, you know, stuff will go wrong and it's just easier to fix it for 8 people than it is for 32. The target language, I always think that I use quite a lot of English in my classes, but my students said to the researchers that they don't really talk that much English in class. And they said, with this project, I really do because I have no choice. So I think it's a great way to sort of incorporate the target language in your classes very naturally. Um, Conversational skills, which surprised me, is I sort of assumed that my students would be very good at that because I think they're very social when I look at them in class. They talk with their classmates. They seem to be able to make connections, but it's very different for them with and a partner from a different country and also online. So you really need to help them with that. And we had that in our pre-task so that we sort of discuss how can you do that. And I think they really do need that. Otherwise they get lost. Task organization is very important. And I think I've become better at that thanks to this project. So I always thought I wrote like decent projects, and I still think I write decent projects, but because you get so much coaching from Tacola when you write a task, you get so much feedback and so many like good questions. You think I never really thought about why I'm doing it like this, and maybe this could be a better option. So I think Tacola is great that as well to develop as a teacher. And what I also noticed, it learns you how, it sort of teaches you how to balance autonomy and guidance. Because as a teacher, I think we tend to help students a bit too much sometimes because we want them to be all right. Or we do the other thing and say, you solve it. And you really have to balance it. You have to help them become independent. And that was it. I would like to thank you for your attention. If you have any questions for us now, for me or for my students, they have to answer. I told them, so they'll be fine. And if you want any more information or just questions in general, feel free to email me on this email address. Thank you.
Anyone? Questions? There is Linda has a question. Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Well, this question is for you, Anna. You only participated in task 1, and we had good stories about why your fellow students did task 2 and task 3, but it might be interesting for the audience to give us an insight why you didn't participate in subsequent tasks.
Yeah, I only did task 1 because the communication between my partner and me wasn't really well. I texted him always, and he never texted me. And like a month or so went by, and I just felt like, yeah, he doesn't feel like, yeah, I want this, or yeah, I text her so she doesn't have to do that all the time. And at one point, I was like, yeah, sorry, but I don't want to do this anymore if you don't react. Or what I was in a virtual world. Uh, I wanted to do that task too, but he suddenly disappeared, and I was, what are you doing? And then he said, yeah, I have dinner. We are in the middle of a task. I was a bit angry, but then I let yeah, then I let him know, yeah, sorry, but I quit with this project because I don't think this is gonna work.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
so it was difficult to make appointments.
Yes, for me, yeah,
Yeah.
and for him, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for explaining it so well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh. I was wondering because it seems that you're doing this as a volunteer. You're doing this voluntary. So it's been outside of class, or how did this work? There's only 8 of you. Because you also had the pre-task and the post-task. When did you do this, and how did you? How was this project presented to you? Why did you pick it?
Our teacher asked in class if some of us wanted to meet with a person from another country. So she gave us a few days to think about it, and then we had to let her know if we participated or not. And we did. And the lessons after that, we during class we got together and we discussed task 1.
And then I think I have a question for your teacher as well. How do you organize this practically with part of the class participating in the project and part of the class not participating in it?
Sometimes it was a bit of a challenge, but it really depended on what we were doing in class. So, for instance, in our first term, I was lucky that there was a lot of independent study, and then I would just say to one half of the class, all right, this is the lesson that you guys do independent study, and I expect you to work. And I'm also lucky with my students because it's quite a small class and they're quite serious, so they would do that. And then with the 8 of them, I would discuss the tasks and how they could go about it. But to be honest, I think I did that twice, and then afterwards, they were quite. If the task was clear to them, like task 3, they got emailed to them while they were in the test week, and I said you have to email me back which one you choose, and then make sure you plan your meeting because we're going to start next week. but they didn't. It was very clear to them, and then they didn't have any questions. And because they already done 2 tasks, that was fine. So they were very independent, to be honest.
So this was not part of their grade. This is just an extra.
Yeah,
thing that we do.
it is extra. It does. I did tell them, do you want to meet some people? But I also told them this would be great for your oral speaking exam. And our school works with certificates. I don't know if other schools work with this as well. So when they graduate, they get an extra certificate telling them they participated in this international project.
So like extra credits.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for the students as well. Could you imagine doing something similar to learn German or French or Spanish?
Well, I think English for me is a bit easy. Yeah, not easy, but it is easier to speak English, and because Netflix and everything and the TV programs, you get so much input from English, and if I have to do it in French, I don't know. I think I had to stop with bonjour, and then it was enough. So yeah, I think English for me was the best chance.
That was the answer that I expected, of course. What could a teacher do to also make this work for German or French or Spanish?
Well, I think Miss van der Broek, she talks a lot of English in class, but for example, in French, she does talk French, but a little less because we usually don't get it. And yeah, if I think if teachers would start from the beginning with, okay, I'm going to talk French and I'm going to teach you and I'm going to talk with you and you have to talk French to me. If you want to go to the bathroom, you have to ask me in French. But they don't do that. So I think if they would do that, I think it would be a lot easier.
Mhm. Okay, so you want them to speak the target language, but to adjust it to a level that makes it
Yeah.
intelligible for you.
Yeah, and also I want them to teach me how to respond and how to react on it and how to use their phrases for for mine to make new phrases and to learn.
Okay, thank you.